to investor presentation meeting as a Biokraft company with our new corporate identity. We have myself and Anna Budzinski participating in this call. And now, in order to get started, why biogas? This is summarizing the key benefits we have with biomethane as an energy carrier for our environment, for our society, as well as financially. To flag for the key highlights, environmental benefits is really related to reduction of CO2 emissions, as well as enhancing the biodiversity. And our side product, green fertilizer, is also very attractive for replacing the fossil fertilizers. We are also creating a good part of new jobs in the European context, and especially given the Ukrainian war nowadays, the energy security is of highest importance in Europe. In terms of the market as such, given the EU's ambition for the green transition, they launched the Repower EU last year with the ambition to grow from 30 terawatt-hours biomethane to 350 terawatt-hours 2030, actively working with the industry players and governments to obtain or to resolve obstacles in order to really achieve this level. This will enhance the overall European energy independence, especially when reducing the supplies from Russia. It is very clear that there is a need for the green transition overall, and all this combined will the consequence of that will be that there is a lack of capacity of green energies, biomethane, and will then also enhance the overall of business development for the future. What is worth noting is also that the European market is quite fragmented, not because of the product as such, but because of the politics and regulation in different countries. So that is something which is say quite time-consuming activity for all of the players in the market and for biomethane players as well, to really follow the situation and opportunities in each of the markets, which applies for us as well in the North European market, which we see as our home market. Then about ourselves, we have updated our purpose and mission to be better reflected to the next level we are going to take the company. Thus, the purpose is reflecting our role as the producer of bioenergy, as well as supplying nutrients for the circular economy. And in terms of mission, we are focusing on being a profitable operator, large-scale operator of biorefineries, and thus producing bioenergy as well as nutrients from different waste and organic streams. In terms of our business, the key highlights for the second quarter, we announced the 2 identified projects in Germany, which we are now working with in order to achieve our investment decision at some point of time next year. We have also been able to assure an additional project in Sweden in cooperation with Perstorp municipality, having signed the land assignment agreement for that project. And especially we want to flag for that, even though the market circumstances have been a bit more challenging related with pricing lately, the additional new project will enhance our profitability and our possibilities to achieve the operative EBITDA 30% level and beyond. In terms of our order book, the order book level was more or less the same at the end of June as it was in March. No major changes on a level of 2.5, 2.4 terawatt-hours of intake, and the order book with market prices on a level of 3.4 billion Swedish crowns without any production subsidy in Sweden. Pricing is a very important issue given the changes we have seen lately. And we still are confident on our view that given the new agreements, the prices for our biomethane will in the Scandinavian market have a premium between 50 to 100% compared to the price which we had 2022, meaning around 900 SEK per megawatt hour. And in German market, we will even be able to have a higher premiums up to 300%, especially in cases where we are delivering biogas produced based on manure, animal manure. So, of course, then given the new price models, the price dynamics in our agreements will increase, and thus the price different changes with LNG, meaning TTF, and even green certificates will impact our prices taking forward, and especially the certificate values our prices are important in the German market. The transition from the old agreements to new agreements has been included in our press now a couple of times. This is more or less the same structure as we had in the Q1 report. As we see, we estimate that during the second half this year, around 30% of our total volumes will be based on the new agreements, and a substantial part of that deliveries to Germany. And in 24, around 50%, around half of the volumes will be based on the new agreements. And this will then imply that our pricing will better reflect market conditions, will enhance us opportunities to have full compensation for the increased costs as well, which is very, very important. But it's important to understand and keep in mind that the prices do vary between markets and segments. So the pricing model in Scandinavia is different compared to the pricing model in Germany, especially German transport sector. And even between the Scandinavian countries, there are differences. And even though the product itself, from a chemical perspective, is more or less the same, depending on the CO2 profile, we see very different prices related to these certificates. And especially in Germany, the prices for LNG, bio-LNG produced on manure are very, very favorable, even though the certificate values have been going downwards lately or earlier in this year. Now they have been for a couple of months quite stable. Overall, we can say that our order book had, given market prices, the average price was 1,380 crowns per megawatt hour at the end of June. And this is now without any subsidies in Sweden. Key activities from the second quarter. We launched the new brand Biokraft, and as you can see, we have a payoff driving change with liquid biogas. It's emphasizing the role of bio-LNG as a product. It's not the only product we are aiming to grow with, but it's the most important one. And we have also launched new corporate identity and even the new websites. Established our subsidiaries in Germany, however, not yet the segment. So the business area will be established later on, but the formal entities are in place. Our project here in Stockholm, bio-LNG in Södertörn, is now in the final phase. We have started with the commissioning and are estimating to have the first supplies out this quarter in the near weeks to come. And then also our project in Mönsterås, we have been then according to plan be able to go from the groundwork phase to construction work in order to achieve then our target to start deliveries during the second half next year. And as mentioned, the Perstorp, a new project, we have assured the land assignment with the municipality. And then we go into our key business highlights, and Anna, please take over.
Yes. Do you hear me double?
echo, but otherwise, yes.
Yes, I have problem with you.
No, we don't hear.
Okay, I have problems with the Teams, so I don't actually know how to fix that. Can you mute one of the...
Yeah, I tried to mute one of your...
Is it?
You have to disable this sound on one of your device speakers on your computer.
Yes. Matti, can you please take this slide so we don't have the echo from it?
Okay, yes, let's do so. Okay, sorry about the trouble with the voice. So the key business highlights for second quarter: energy deliveries out were more or less on the same level as year before, 82 gigawatt hours. Positive was the enhancement and higher volumes in Sweden. However, then that was compensated in a way negatively by some lower production in Norway, Korea. In Norway, there was a planned maintenance for a couple of days, but besides of that, then there was a substantial water shortage in the region, in the Skåne region, implying even for challenges for the pulp mill. So that took off a couple of days production of us. Also in Korea, there was a planned maintenance for our customer, and therefore the lower volumes were slightly lower. Thus meaning that the capacity utilization still is below our expectation. In terms of the revenue, however, we were able to have substantially higher revenue than the year before, 1/3 higher, on a level of 135 million SEK. And that is mainly driven by higher sales prices in Norway and Korea, as well as the volumes in Sweden. What is then, of course, worth noting is that the subsidies, production subsidies, were substantially higher this year compared to last year, because last year the production subsidies were not yet available. So that is one of the changes, differences, as well as then there was a one-off, in a way, one-off benefit of 8 million when we booked the subsidy from 2022 as a reevaluation. Also, we received 5 million as electricity subsidies in Sweden. In terms of the profitability, substantially higher than a year before, 13.6% margin. That is driven with the drivers and facts I described already, but also related with the product mix. So there was a higher share of bio-LNG, as well as some supplies to Germany with boosting the profitability. And the subsidies were impacting positively. Negative impact is related with the COGS. We have seen the higher COGS already since 12 months. Some components in the COGS are now on a lower level, such as electricity. But overall, still, we see that the COGS is on a higher level and seems to be even a bit higher level on way forward, at least towards the end of this year. And then, of course, as mentioned, the overhaul periods and impact in a startup in Norway have even reduced gross margin to some extent. In terms of trends, this is showing our total revenue development on a quarterly level the last 3 years, as well as on the graph on right you see the operating EBITDA, as well the operative EBITDA margin, now on a level of 13.6%. Of course, we are looking to reach our operative EBITDA margin 30% as communicated. That is our long-term target overall. In terms of cash flow, given the higher profitability this quarter, the cash flow was better than it was a year before. Worth noting that in our investing activities, the total investment activities were on a level of close to 150 million Swedish crowns, both related to Mönsterås project and Stockholm LBG. But given the fact that the portfolio, the short-term investment, which was released on a level of 69, so in the cash flow, the investing activities is reported as net. Cash at the end was 168 million Swedish crowns. And if we then look how the liquidity, what is the liquidity position of the group, the total interest-bearing liabilities were on a level of a bit more than 900. And given the interest-bearing receivables, cash, and RCF, and our own share of in our bond, the total available liquidity was in the range of 700 million Swedish crowns. And net debt without leasing debt was in the range of 340 at the end of June. So these were the key highlights related to financials, and then related to the growth plan. We published first time our pipeline in our Q1 report. Here is the update, and the key point here is that we have now the Perstorp project as with the concrete name and place location, as well as we have now reached the commissioning phase for the Stockholm Bio-LNG project. Otherwise, the pipeline is quite close, what we have said earlier on. However, would like to flag for that in Södertörn, the capacity increase from 80 to around 110 has now been postponed due to profitability reasons. We do not see that we are able to reach the favorable profitability for that extension. The other projects are more favorable in terms of project returns. So therefore, the project has been now divided in a smaller subsections, and will take some time before the local capacity in Södertörn will increase. We still see that the rule of thumb that the capex cost per gigawatt hour will be in the range of 4 to 6 million Swedish crowns, depending on infrastructure and depending on the functionalities used for the project. Important is that these projects, the greenfield projects, all enhance our EBITDA margin and are very well aligned with the 30% target, and actually are improving it compared to just to being it on that level. So that is the key point related to projects. Key long-term targets are the same as earlier on, and we are comfortable with them. However, would like to emphasize that the operating EBITDA margin 30% in 2024 we see as a challenge, but we are committed to work with our EBITDA targets, margin targets, but 2024 is a challenge, but long term we are definitely working with that target. And then when looking the key drivers for our operating EBITDA margin in near future, 2024, we see that our volumes out will increase by 20% in 2024 compared to 2022. This was lowered by 10% units from 30 to 20, given that the Södertörn 3 is under a redesign process. In terms of the pricing, we have the same sales price increase 40% as we had earlier on per gigawatt hour, so we don't see any major change there. And then what is most important, that the third statement is that we see that on a group level we will be able to report a positive last line before tax when we have commissioned both the Stockholm BioLNG project as well as our Mönsterås project, and those both projects have achieved a fairly high, reasonable capacity unit utilization level. Those points which are impacting us in a dynamic way can be positive, can be negative. Is self-evident given the new agreements, new supply agreements, market prices for TTF and green certificates will impact ourselves, and this is especially the volatility is higher and impact is higher in Germany, not that sensitive in the Nordic market. Of course, then also the political changes and governmental new policies can enhance the profitability, but can also negatively impact, as we have seen, for example, in Sweden with the subsidies, as well as the changes with the energy taxation for biogas. And then lastly, the higher COGS, we see that clearly the COGS level per megawatt hour will be higher than it used to be. We suppose that at some point of time next year, we will be able to have somewhat lower COGS per megawatt hour, but anyway, much higher than what we used to have earlier on. And then going forward, we have, as said, we see the biogas market in Europe to have a strong to be in a strong development phase, and there's really increasing demand for biomethane. We ourselves focus on two activities, two key strategic areas. One is the improved efficiencies on the existing sites, and doing and implementing performance improvement actions aligned with continuous improvements, and then as well as looking for additional new projects. So we are confident with our 2024 targets, but for the profitability, operating EBITDA 30%, we see challenges to reach that in as early as 2024. And as mentioned earlier on, new projects are expected to contribute positively in our profitability overall. And then for 2024-3 this year, we confirm the same outlook prognosis as we have stated earlier on. We'll see this year to be in a way to be a bit weak throughout this year, and this is mainly related to the fact that based on the old agreements, our intake indexation is a bit more aggressive than is the sales side indexation, and therefore we do not get full compensation for the inflation, and that is also impacting then the profitability before we get the benefits of renewed agreements and being able to deliver bio-LNG. So I think that this was the key highlights from the company side, and we are open for Q&A.
I hope, can you hear me now?
Very well.
Yes, good. I don't see any questions in the ones. No one is raising their hand. You can just put out your questions. But we have our analytical Adrian from ABG has sent in some questions that he would like to raise. He couldn't be in the call today. So I will take those, Matti, so you can see if you have an answer. The first one is, natural gas prices have fallen out drastically. Can you give us an update regarding how this affects our long-term earnings potential? Is your 30% operating EBITDA margin target a risk at current levels?
Thank you. I think we have already addressed this question. So we clearly are firm with our 30% EBITDA target. However, 2024 challenge, the new projects, greenfield projects, given the current market prices, both for the energy as well as for the certificates. We see the prices to be very well aligned with those, price indications, premiums we have already earlier stated on, and thus being able to contribute positively on the EBITDA margin going forward.
And then he has a question regarding our COGS. What is the status of the input cost for energy and more in likes for the glycerin that you have struggled with in recent quarters?
The energy prices in general, as we know, power is an important component for us, especially when going forward with bio-LNG production. So we see that the power cost is reducing and has been reduced during the first months this year. However, as mentioned, the COGS overall with other components in our COGS are to somewhat higher than they used to be before the Ukrainian crisis, and we still see ourselves to have higher COGS per megawatt hour going forward, hopefully somewhat reduced than next year.
And he also has a question about how much has the LBG volumes from Skogn 2 contribute in Q2? Is it full utilization, or when will it reach full utilization?
Yeah, okay, very good, thank you. The Skogn 2 is a capacity extension for liquefaction part, especially. It's integrated into the Skogn 1, so operationally we have now one Skogn facility. It's a bit difficult to deviate between the 1 and 2 anymore operationally. The level of production level in Q2 was less than 30 gigawatt hours, which is more or less the capacity of the Skogn 1. So from the supply perspective, there hasn't been yet during the second quarter any substantial volume benefit. We expect ourselves to be able to now, during the second half of the year, to improve so that we are above the Skogn 1 level, which would be in the range of 130, 135, 140 gigawatt hours annually. And we expect then to be able to reach the 150 level when we have made some improvements in our feedstock supply, especially in terms of injecting such feedstocks which we have not been able to use so far. So then we will be able to reach the full capacity, including Skogn 2, somewhere second quarter next year.
Yes, we have one person raising his hand, Samuel Wilhelmsson.
Yes, thank you for taking my question, Samuel Wilhelmsson from Nordea Markets. One question that I had was, again, concerning your target for the 30% EBITDA margin. And during the second quarter, you said in a report that the increase of costs is also attributable to increased production in business area Sweden. And now looking at your current pipeline, you have also like new projects coming in Sweden. Do you see this some kind of a threat to the gross margin if the production costs in Sweden are above the other business areas? And is there any way to tackle that?
Your question is related to COGS level between business areas. I would say so that now when taking company forward with the additional growth projects, they are heavily based on agricultural side products and manure, and that the potential in that market is very big. Whereas our current feedstock supply for our existing facilities are more or less related to municipal waste. Either the biogas is based on sludge or sorted household waste or other commercial feedstock such as ensilage in Norway. So I would say that the higher COGS here in Sweden lately is I would say we don't see indications that the same kind of cost increase would impact the other projects. Rather, we see that given the fact that the energy prices have gone down also that will impact positively some parts of the COGS going forward.
Okay, so it's just a matter of feedstock. Okay, thanks for clarification.
Adrian had also two last questions. Can you give us a timeline for how the liquefaction volumes from Stockholm Bio-LNG will be ramped up the coming quarters?
As mentioned, we have started now the commissioning of the Stockholm Bio-LNG facility in Södertörn. And as I showed the slide on the volume transformation from old agreements to new agreements, majority of the change during second half this year is based on supplies from Södertörn. And given the fact that the local capacity and production in Södertörn is around 70 to 80 gigawatt hours annually, we would expect that we will be more or less on a very high part of that during the fourth quarter.
And the last question from Adrian is that when now the LBG liquefaction volumes from Skogn 2 and Stockholm Bio is going onwards, how can you isolate and say something about the margin of those volumes?
That question is, of course, an excellent question and a bit complicated question. The prices, as I explained earlier on, the sales prices, for example, in Germany, we can get a 300% premium compared to our earlier prices if we are delivering or using manure as a feedstock. So that is, I mean, the highest profitability, the highest cross margin, definitely for that kind of a biomethane. On average, then the margin here in Scandinavia is between 50 to 100% higher than it was, or the price is 50 to 100% higher than it was earlier on, meaning that the price is somewhere between 1450 to 1800 SEK per megawatt hour. And for those products, then the feedstock is not that sensitive. Manure is also has a higher profitability in Sweden, given the subsidies for that part. So it's difficult to give any exact figures in terms of the margin. It's actually depends quite a lot on what feedstock we are using and to which markets, on which market the product is sold.
That was all questions from Adrian, and I can't see any more questions hand raised in the call, so you know.
Okay, let's see. Are there any additional questions coming in from somebody? If not, then we highly appreciate your participation in mid of July in this investor call, and we do apologize. We had some technical challenges, but anyway, we have been able to work through it in a very good way, excellent way, the information sharing. So thank you very much and enjoy your summer.